Namaste, I am Alekha Sachidanand. Welcome to another lecture. Today, our topic is film and video editing. After end of this lecture, we are going to know about what is editing, what are the basic principle of editing, what is the art, science and philosophy behind editing. So let's start the class. What is editing? Let's first talk about it. Film editing is a part of post production. We all know in any production work we have to follow three steps, that is pre-production, production and post-production. So before talking about post-production, we almost know about the stages of filmmaking. They are pre-production, production and post-production. In one line we can say pre-production is a process of planning and execution of every task that must takes place before production begins. This pre-production work must be completed before filming or shooting. The second stage is production, and the actual practical film production work begin in the production stage. Its primary aim is to stick to the budget and the schedule which you have planned during the pre-production, which require a constant attentiveness to complete our task. A film director works with casting and crews to ensure everything goes on our planning which we have made in pre-production, whereas everything that goes on or after the actual shooting of the film is the post-production, what we are going to talk today. Other aspect of post-production including sound editing, mixing, computer generated effect and soundtrack creation. So these are the lot of work we have to do in the post-production. It means after production completed, after shooting, we have to do a lot of things in filmmaking or production of audiovisual content. So today our topic is editing. So primarily we have to focus on editing. So what is editing in post-production? Film editing is a part of creative post-production process of filmmaking. The term film editing is derived from the traditional process of working with film. We all know today all our content we create with help of digital equipment or digital device. We create content digitally, we edit content digitally and we also disseminate content digitally. But previously this type of facility we don't have. So therefore at that time they use film to record something, and during editing also they have to edit manually the films. But now let's say everything we have to do in a digitally. So to understand basically editing, we have to understand the three important things which complete a filming process, that is shot, scene, sequence and finally editing will be completed. First of all, you have to arrange the shot and it create the scene, and when the number of scenes come together we can create a sequence, and after connecting number of sequence we can complete our film work. Another way you can define the what is editing by this formula, that is shot, scene, sequence and finally editing. A shot can be defined. Then let's talk about in detail each and every part of editing unit. We can say smallest unit of any video editing or video process is the shot. Shot can be defined as the continuous single run of the film, means a small footage which is a single unit of any production work, we can call it shot. Then scene is composed of numerous shots. So scene how can it be created? By combining number of shots we can create a scene. A scene can be anything that the director want to be For example, someone entering into a room and having a conversation with a person in the room and then leave that room. So this is a example of small scene. So what is sequence then? Sequence is formed when a number of scenes are joined together. As number of shots joined together become scene, similarly number of sequence when get connected, we can create a sequence. So then film complete with joining number of sequence. So to create a film, we need to follow this process. First of all, we must have to choose the right shot. Then we have to make a right scene out of shot, and then sequence of series of scene. When we get connected, we can create a sequence, and after connecting number of sequence, we can complete a film. So the film editor work with raw footage. You all know, first of all, you have to go for shooting. There will get number of footage, number of shots, number of content that we have to collect. Then you have to assemble them, process them to get final film or output. So what is the role of editor? They have to collect this raw footage, select shot out of that raw footage and combine them into a sequence to create a finished motion picture. The film editor job is to join together various shots into scene and then join scene into finished movie. They usually work closely with the director to realize his or her vision of the film. Unless until we know what the director want, what the producer want, a visual editor can't do anything. So they have to always connected with the director so that they can understand the storyline, and accordingly they have to do the editing work. Editing is another important thing we should discuss, that people used to say editing is an invisible art. We know a editor used to work with a visual world, but his or her work is invisible. It doesn't mean he is working silently, but it means film editing is invisible art, because when it well practiced, the viewer can become so engaged that he or she is not even aware of that editing work. Means the work is such a flawless. It should be in a such a way, the editing work should be done so that people could not identify there is something given in this editing work by the editor. It should be natural, and they should forget about someone is edited that movie. They should simply enjoy what they want to watch in that movie. So here most important role is film editor. So what is the job of film editor? The job of film editor is to join together various thought into scene and the scene into finished movie. The goal of the most editor is to create a seamless finished product with no trace of tampering. Definitely when we do editing, there is a chances of tampering, there is a chances of misutilization or mismanage of content which you have collected during the recording or production, and that should not be identified by the viewer. So that is the main role and objective of a video editors. In reality, their fingertips are all over the final film. It means each and every shot should be managed, observed, and must be created and sequenced by the visual editor. They are often among the most important figure in the entire process of production. Although the actors and the cinematographer play a primary role in production of footages available, it is up to the editor to join these footage together to create a complete story. You may have very good footage, you may have very good team of production, those who are engaged in the shooting, but unless until you have a very good editors, you can't complete your work. Editor must be creative. Simply, they should not work according to the instruction given by the director or vision given by the director, they must be themselves, they should be creative in nature. It is most fundamental level. Film editing is an art, technique and practice of assembling shot into a coherent sequence. Job of editor is not a mechanical but a piece of film, placing the film together, cut off the film slates or editing dialogue and scenes. Number of work they have to do in the process of visual editing. Film editor must be creative and the work must definitely, it's a creative work, and they have to work with a number of layer, images, stories, dialogue, music as well as actors performance to effectively reimagine and even rewrite the film to craft a cohesive whole. So whatever written by writers about a novel or about a film, and then the producers, those who are engaged in production work, taking the footage, that is not enough, because there must be an editor who will rewrite and who will manifest the imaginations of the producers, directors and cinematographer. Editor usually play a dynamic role in making any film. Editing can be defined as a process, or finally we can define what editing is. It is a process of preparing motion picture film or video by deleting, arranging and joining, and by synchronizing sound record with the film. So there are so many things we are going to learn about visual editing. So many times we use them, discuss them, film editing and how it is done in the upcoming modules, upcoming classes. From the beginner point of view, we are going to introduce you the primary area of film editing, so you understand the general process of movie editing. In order to do this, we will go through the editing process, some of the editing technique and principle, and how we have to cut the visuals and rearrange them. Everything we are going to discuss in upcoming class. So that's all for today. Today we cover what is editing, what is its important, what is the role of editor, why you call it invisible world. It means a audience could not recognize what editor do. Just simply they have to enjoy the movie what they are going to watch. So that's all for today. Wait for the next class. Namaste.